No, my girlfriend. Mm. Let's make time now. We had wine, they can make now time. Yain, sort of. Yain and sort of yain. Narrow here. Yeah.
No.
Well, thank you. Not my
That came from the, who? They came from your neighbor? Like,
No.
When I clicked,
Your wife?
Yeah.
Okay.
but I unclicked it.
No, is that what they say? My focus got tumble.
Click, you see yourself over here.
Okay. Yeah, can I give you a little bit?
Yeah.
That's good. That's good.
That's good. Thank you.
L'chaim, 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 l'chaim.
Good friend.
This jam, let's.
Right. So
You're done.
maybe shall help them. The first thing is that everyone that needs a bracha, and it's a good day for shidduchim. To everyone in basement Achmedel, the Tefechi Klal Yisrael, that those that need to make shidduchim should make take it from a yad good shidduchim. Amen. L'chaim, l'chaim, l'chaim. Okay, so it's a Farbrengen, but let's start with a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful explanation from the Rebbe about Chamisha Asabah. The Gemara says, and I'm doing it a little bit of a different style. It's a Farbrengen, otherwise we make copies. This I figured it's a Farbrengen. Let's do it this way. The Gemara says at the end of Tainus that there is several reasons why Loi Ho Yom Tevim Yisrael Chamisha Asabah V'Yom Kippurim. One is that Yom Shvutim Shvatim Lovazebazeh. Because the Shvatim are allowed to marry each other, because originally the Abishah said that they have to marry within the Shevet.
First thing was that they stopped dying.
Then there was another thing, exactly. That was also one of the things. Yom Shut the Shevet Dinyam Alavabakov. Yeah, that the Shevet Dinyam was allowed to enter. Ben Shalachayim Lachaim. Yom Shekolav Mesa Midbar. The people stopped dying. Yom Shabitla Sheben Ela Pirdiso Shefsi Yerovim Ben Avot Ladrot Shlayal Yisrael Laregel. They didn't allow you to go Laregel, and this day they were Mavatled. Yom Shenitna Arugi Beta Lekvura. And then the Gemara says, it's a long Gemara. Then the Gemara says, Yom Shepos Kamalichvetz Eitzem Lamaracha. That was the last day they cut the wood for the Maracha, and that was the Gemara says. There's a Brayser of Elazar God Loim Machamisha Ozabah Veilach. Pashas kosher shalchama v'lo yakoritzam eitzam l'marocha l'fisha yaveshim amen benashe v'korah l'yoyim tovar man. Was the day they grinded the axes. They grinded the axes. As I saying in English, he has an axe to grind, and here they took the axes and they grinded the axes. So the Rebbe fragt the shakosh the shayla from the Gemara Tzmachma that was the main reason of the Yom Tov. Is because it's Yom Tov Ramagel. The day they grinded the axes. Oh, sorry.
No,
but they
The yichus that they grinded the axes.
For the Jews, not for themselves.
So they broke the axe. So then this is, first of all, there's a machlokas Rishonim. Why is it a Yom Tov? So the Rabbeinu Gershom says they were busy chopping wood. They didn't have time to go to yeshiva learn. So when they stopped chopping the wood, they had time to learn in the yeshiva. So, but the Rashbam doesn't like his pshat. Why? Because
And why Kisvav the
like it's funny. No, why Kisvav? Because that's till then you can only chop the woods when it's very hot.
They are getting smaller now.
Right, and now the heat is not so strong, so there is moisture in the wood, and there's bugs, and that's possible for the wood to be on the maroch.
Yeah.
They only chop wood until Chamisha Sabab. After Chamisha Sabab, there's no such thing as chopping wood.
Reason based on the weather. It's not
Right.
anything.
Right, because Tosh is kosher Shalchama, but Shalchama is getting weaker, so therefore they stop chopping.
Earlier, like a half hour within 2 weeks.
The Tisha B'Av that we had,
Yeah.
what's
So
on
what happens? Now they have time to learn. That's what the Rabbeinu Gershom says. The Rashbam didn't like his pshat, probably because funny. What do you mean? They were doing mitzvahs, so that. And anyway, it doesn't sound like that's the reason for the Yom Tov, because it sounds that the reason for the Yom Tov is because they grinded the axe. So the Rashbam says no. Smeichem lefishabois hayom hoyim mashlim mitzvah gedola kazais. That there was like a siyum masechta. They finished a big important mitzvah.
Why wouldn't they keep it for next year?
Oh, so that's
And
the
then-
shaila that Rebbe asks. The Rebbe asks a shaila. I don't understand. I don't understand. So that was the day they finished the big mitzvah of cutting the wood for the mizbeach. So what did they do? They made a big ceremony and they took all the axes and they grinded the axes. Why can't you put it in boxes? Put it in the storage room.
Like the sukkah.
And next year, come the summer, you're not going to have to go to Lowe's and Home Depots to buy new axes. Every year after Pesach,
What did they grind? The handle or
the whole
metal?
thing, the metal. That was a big job to grind the axe. So the Rebbe said, I don't understand. Every year,
Could have been
huh?
the Lord.
No, smash it into little pieces.
Why?
And they
Why?
the Lord.
The Rebbe says, why? Why did they do it?
They don't need it for the next year.
They need it next year.
No, it's because the things for the base of Mikdash, you can't use it for anything else.
So the truth is, for the base of Mikdash, the Chazal say, "Ein ani is v'makom hashidus." That you know,
Everything new.
everything is
New.
every year fresh, but still, they made a whole set. You could put them in the basement. You could put them in the ground, whatever. They made a big deal out of smashing it, and the Yom Tov was called Yom Tov HaMagel, the day that they grinded the axes. What's so the yichus of grind? B'chal, it's baltashis. And then, like, what's the big deal to grind axes?
Reminds me of the suggestion where getting rid of taking out the garbage is also a big thing.
Yeah, but that was taka the garbage. It was taka desh. These were good axes. It cost
Deshing is the
$50.59 each axe, and they needed a
Something
few
they do
hundred
every
of
year.
them.
Yeah.
So why go every year to Lowe's and Home Depots to buy new axes when you could
Yeah.
save them from year to year? Okay, you buy new ones, but why do you make a big ceremony and call everybody for a party? And this is the day we're grinding the axe. So the Rebbe says like this. Bekitze, the sikha, the point is so geschmack. And the Rebbe says there is 5 things that Chazal say happened terrible on Tisha B'Av, and 5 good things that happened on
Tu B'Av.
Now, each one of the things, for example, is that the people in Beitar got killed. The Beitar was a very, very big city. We don't know today where the real Beitar is in Israel. There's a city Beitar. We don't know. Yeah, exactly. There you know Beitar. But Beitar was a big city. Chazal described it as ginormous place.
David Melech was the king there first, then he moved to
And it was
Chai.
Chet. But Beitar, the Rambam said, was Bar Kochva. Bar Kochva was in Beitar, and it was huge. And the Romans,
I understand that they let them bury them for
and they
15
didn't
years.
let them bury them for years and years and years.
Wonderful.
And what happened was on Chamisha Osav B'Av, they were allowed to bury them. So one of the 5 terrible things that happened on Tisha B'Av is that they were killed. And then what was the good thing that happened on Chamisha Osav B'Av? That they were allowed to bury.
The blood of Zechariah wasn't conditional.
That's a Tisha B'Av, but that's part of the Churban. It's not.
Same thing dying in the desert.
Now, dying in the desert. It's beautiful, exactly. On Tisha B'Av, they cried that we don't want to go to Eretz Yisrael. So they was excited on them that they're all going to die in the desert. Every year, they would go and bury themselves on Tisha B'Av. And the last year, they also went and they buried themselves. And next morning, they woke up.
Kind of a mistake, yeah.
They thought it was a
You said-
mistake.
so a few days later,
They kept on
They
going
kept on
in.
going in. When they saw a full moon, they knew that it's done. So again, so Keneged, the terrible thing that happened, that they cried, there was Nixit not going into Eretz Yisrael. So on the Tu B'Av, it was Nixit that they are going to live and they're going to go into Eretz Yisrael. At least the last group of people were
like David Melech, that was
What about the
like
Shabbat?
Malka, everyone's a Shabbos because he knew that he was
Right.
supposed to die on Shabbos.
Right.
So Malka says,
What about the Shabbat Binyamin thing?
Oh, same thing as Shevet Binyamin. There was a thing about the Shvatim, the Isur. There was the Isur of the Shvatim and Binyamin had to do with not settling Eretz Yisrael properly. Because the reason why the people of the Yosef, Shevet Yosef, they complained that if the women of our Shevet are gonna get an inheritance from their father, like Tzlofchad, his daughters, are going to get his land, and they're going to marry men from a different Shevet.
Then
So then we're going to lose portions. But the truth is, wasn't a good thing because it's good when Yidden get mixed in. It's good. It can't
we're not
making shidduchim Lubavitch with Lubavitch, a Satmar with Satmar, Chambalin with Chambalin.
we
The
can
mishsecha in head is not. It's a good thing.
like a donut.
Exactly.
Or say it too
It's a
loud.
little bit of no, I shouldn't say too much. So it's a good thing. So the fact that the fact that now Yem Shut Shvatim Melave Zebazeh, so their bias in Eretz Yisrael, their ownership in Eretz Yisrael became a stronger. Instead of every Shevet being here, you're here, and we never get. So they started to cross borders. That a few people from the Shevet ended up here, a few people from the Shevet ended up here. It was a little more achdus. Okay, very good. So the bias in Eretz Yisrael. What was the main thing from the 5 things that happened on Tisha B'Av? That's the main problem, the main bechia, the Churban, first and second Beis Hamikdash was destroyed on Tisha B'Av. So Keneged Zeh, and what's the main reason Chazal say for the Churban? Because sinners chinam, by sinners chinam, because of sinners chinam. What's the opposite of that? The opposite of that is on Chamisha B'Av, a celebration of the Korban Eitzim. What's so special about Korban Eitzim? How does that show Avas Chinam? Korban Eitzim is like this. What happened? What happened Korban Eitzim? People need to bring karbonos. Who needs to bring? Mostly the people that need to bring karbonos are people that sinned. So they have to bring a korban to the Beis Hamikdash. Either they send them it's a sloitas and they bring a chatas, or they're bringing an oil because they missed out on asay. So he sinned. What's my business that he sinned? He sinned. So, but still, there were people that they didn't say he sinned. What's my business? There were families that said, you know what? We're going to spend time in the summer. Every summer they would go out, they would work, they would all work, they put on boots, they put on overalls, and they take would close their Gemara and the Shulchan Aruch, and they'd go out and they'd chop the wood in the heat of the summer. And then, by the way, the wood in the Beis Hamikdash wasn't just like firewood that you buy when you go into camp and you buy a bag of
special one.
Yeah, it was good wood. It was cut nicely. There was no toiloyim. As you're putting when you make it.
It's like Pesach. So you gotta check the matzah.
Exactly. It was like
Meshubach.
Meshubach.
In
There's
the bar was Etzem?
Yeah.
Or Hatzia Lebanon?
It's a problem. How'd they get? Probably they got from the people that it says that the goyim used to set up booths outside the Jewish camp. He used to go buy stuff from them. They probably used to go buy from them. I guess we didn't. Chazal never told us that wood was raining down from the heaven.
About that, but isn't it that there were plants by the Shvatim?
No, that was that they Yaakov Avinu planted
for the Mishkan.
The Mishkan.
But
the wood that they had to Mizbech, I don't know. I don't know. Anyway, but in the Beis Hamikdash, they went out. Families would go every summer, and they would work really, really hard, and they would cut the wood in nice pieces in the right size and make sure there's no teloim.
It's a nice sukkah plant.
It's a big job. So that's the ultimate of Avas Chinam. That no one really knows who sat there in the forest and chopped the wood. You didn't get a plaque in the Beis Hamikdash saying
your name on it.
Yeah. People were standing in the forest summer and they're working really hard, chopping the wood. And that's the ultimate of Avos Yisrael. It wasn't for them.
Coming year.
It was for the next year, because if you're not going to chop in the summer, there's no wood in the Beis Hamikdash. So these families went out and they chopped a ton of wood, and they filled up storage houses full of wood. For what? For the Beis Hamikdash. Why does the Beis Hamikdash need wood? For the people to bring karbonos. Why people bring karbonos? Because they sinned. So they had this, the ultimate Avos Chinam. They're not getting paid for it. These people were not. They were volunteers. They're not getting paid for it. No, they're not necessarily kohanim. But to some of the mishpachas seems that kohanim. They didn't care. You could be kohanim or levim. If you want,
The volunteer.
It's one of the avoidance that stuff that you can do for Beis Hamikdash, and you don't have to be a kohen.
Yeah, you don't have to be a kohen, and it's not in the Beis Hamikdash.
People don't see you.
Right?
Wasn't a certain shaven, just
There was just people that wanted to. So therefore, this is the ultimate of Avos Chinam, that it says. This is Avos Chinam.
It shows that
they went,
and
they
also
worked
love
really hard.
Hashem.
Steht sich. Yeah. Steht so.
Rabbi,
So they have the Beis Hamikdash. The side, the Chamisha Sabbath, is the union of the Beis Hamikdash, because what's the whole thing of the Beis Hamikdash is a place for korbanos, which was done through the wood. And side, it's the union of Avas Chinam, because people volunteered,
I'm doing it for
and
something.
they volunteered. They put their neshama into it, like people are putting their neshama into Beis Menachem Mendel. And they put their neshama into it. They volunteered for what? For when? Because they love the Eibishter, they love another Yid, and they're doing it. So therefore, this stands out as the main reason of the mile of Chamisha Asabah. Why did they have to make a ceremony to smash the axes? Why did they have to grind the axes? The Rebbe says, unbelievable pshat. Chazal say that that you're not allowed to bring barzel onto the rocks of the mizbeach. Why? Because Chazal say barzel nibra lekatza yom shaladim, mizbeach nibra laharichem of shaladim. That the barzel nebach, what the barzel is a terrible thing. You make ammunition, bullets, knives.
Stones used to be thrown also for
True. Barzel is something lethal, very lethal with barzel. It's very, very strong. Chazal say that when a person killed someone else, if he killed him with a stone or he killed him with a whip, so you have to measure
the same eye to eye.
Yeah, but if it's metal, it's even a mashu of metal could kill someone. That's what Chazal says. We say that barzel is something that's very lethal. So when they needed the barzel to chop the eight
But the
good. But the day they finished, they wanted to show that we're not going to leave them. Who knows? Maybe Chas v'Shalom, someone's going to take one of these axes and use it for. Maybe he has an axe to grind. So they said we're going to grind up all the axes because this was used for the mizbeach. So every day that we needed it, and we needed it for the mizbeach, you're not allowed to put it on the mizbeach, but outside the basic mikdash, you chop the wood. You're allowed to. But now we don't need these axes. And what's an axe? An axe is a terrible thing. And barzel is nivra lakatzer yom shaladim. So you know what? Let's grind up all the axes. Let's grind up all the axes. Right, to show the din of arichas yom. That's why they made a ceremony. So again, the iked Indian of Chamisha Asabah was niked, even though the Gemara says 5 things, was niked. The mila of Chamisha Asabah was the korban of eitzim. That was the last day that they chopped eitzim. Even though, by the way, Chof, one of the things that Rebbe says about his father's yortzim, Chof, that was one of the days. That was a special day involved with one of the families that used to bring korban eitzim. There was 7-8 days in the year. That was a yom tov for the families that brought the eitzim. But these people on Chof, they were not allowed to chop. Chamisha Asabah there was no such thing as chopping wood. So the family that brought the wood on Chof,
chopped it last time on the Chamisha.
And they filled up containers.
Took them 5 days to get to
Right.
Yerushalayim.
So it takes time to get Yerushalayim, but they filled up containers and they came to Yerushalayim on Chof. But there's no such thing as cutting any wood after Chamisha Asabah. So Chamisha Asabah, because that's the union of the korbanos on the Beis Hamikdash, which shows in the union of the Beis Hamikdash, and it's the union of Avas Yisrael. Because other avodas you get honor, recognition. Here you're slugging it away and you're chopping wood for other people. So therefore, that was a special yom tov. They made a big ceremony and they smashed up. They grinded all the axes.
Rabbi, the reason I ask about the trees, because Shlomo HaMelech brought from other places etzim to Beit HaMikdash.
Right.
Here, they didn't say anything. They said they're chopping the etzim.
Right.
Here, the other one, he went to Malkat Shua, he went to Lebanon,
Right, because they needed over there. They needed fancy schmancy eitzim. The eitzim that they burned on the Mizbeach was
Amcha.
yeah. I mean, they were good wood. They had no toiloyim in it, and they were good wood. They used
It need to be
high quality
food. Yeah,
high quality
to burn.
high quality. But still, they have to go all the way to Lebanon to get.
It needs to be quick to burnt also.
They need to be dry
And be able to. Why? Because the person who bring the korban,
Right away.
it has to stay. I understood that
You want to see
the whole thing has to burn and
in
move
the
on.
time of the Beis Hamikdash on the Yom Tovim, they would leave a lot of ashes on the Mizbeach.
To see a lot more.
Oh, exactly.
How much?
See,
How much?
see,
there?
like
Wow.
how much ashes? Wow.
Yeah.
How many ashes are there on the Mizbeach? So, anyway, bottom line, today is a very big Yom Tov, Chamisha Sabbaov. It's Yom Tov Ramagel. It's the day they grinded the axes in the base of Mikdash, because this is the day that we finish cutting wood for the base of Mikdash, which symbolizes the union of Avos Yisrael. I'm doing for another Jew. I'm doing for another Jew. I'm working really hard. I'm chopping wood in the forest. Not for me, just for other Jews that need to bring korbanos in the base of Mikdash. So that's the opposite of Tisha B'Av. Tisha B'Av is Sinas Chinam, and Tu B'Av is Avas Chinam. Tisha B'Av is the Churban, and Chamisha B'Av is the Indian opinion based on Mikdash, which is symbolized by the Indian of Korban Ha'etzim, and Korban Ha'etzim that's the day. Chamisha is the last day you're allowed to chop wood. So that ties in very well with the idea that the Mishnah says that one of the other things special about Yom Kippur and Chamisha B'Av is that Bnei Yisrael would go and dance, and that was a good day for making shidduch. The Gemara says in the Braise that was a whole system that they did in order to be loy lavayish misha ein loy, in order to not to be mavayish those that don't have.
That's the same thing.
So they would loan each other their clothing, and they would go b'chli lovan. They would always all wore the same clothing, because lovan is simple. In those days to dye was very valuable. It's very expensive. Jews actually had that in them. They knew how to, because they had Felis, they had Agomon, and today in Israel they keep on finding. I think the oldest piece of fabric that's dyed is found in Eretz Yisrael. It's from the days of Avraham Avinu. But in Eretz Yisrael, they find pieces of tchelas. The Romans outlawed it. The Jews. That's why we lost the whole Messiah for tchelas. The Romans didn't want the Jews, because the Jews had this thing. They had this umnus. They had this trade of they knew how to dye clothing. So the Jews had this thing of how to dye purple, red, blue. So that was today's garnish. Where you go blue, red, whatever shirt that's red and white is the same price. But back then, something that's in order to dye a beged, it was something you needed to know the techniques, and it was something very difficult. True blue was like an unbelievable color. The Jews knew how to make the true blue color. So Shaloi Levaish Mishainlis, they said, you know what, we're all going to have Lavan, and you know what, we're all going to exchange with each other, the begodim. So
Lavan is also Kala. Kala wearing Lavan now.
Maybe it's the other way around. Maybe the Kala, not that they wore white because Kalas wear white. Kalas wear white because they wore white.
Right.
Okay. Yeah, but if you don't want to,
and I'm not sure that's
the poor women, how did the poor women do their stuff?
They all exchanged. The rich ones wore the begodim of the poor.
But also the oldest would ask from the youngest, and the youngest would give it because they wanted to show that they.
But the Mishnah says the Melech, she gave Bas Melech gave it to the Bas Kohen Gadol. So the richer ones gave it to the poorer ones. So they had the poorer ones that wore the nicer begodim. So that's also the union of Avas Chinam. It's also Avas Chinam. So l'chaim.
Nice to the guy. That's not nice to the guy.
Oh, yeah.
Gives all the money.
Oh no,
They throw you up.
Yeah, but 1 second. Well, right. So then they say the men did not go to see the girls. The mothers used to go see it. Then they would find out about the family.
The women.
That's what I heard the man say.
Today I see, and there's a Chabad website, anash.org. There's a guy. There's a shliach in Las Vegas. Wilhelm. So you saw it. So he was going around with tefillin to wrap people with the tefillin, and he bumps an elderly Jew, and he puts on tefillin with him, and his name is Howard Paretsky, and he asks him, "Have you ever put on tefillin before?" He said, "Sure, I put on once tefillin before." He said, "Where?" He said, "I was working with my father in New York, and we got a phone call one day. It was in the summer." and there was someone that was saying that there was too much light coming in through his windows. So he wanted to put like a code of something on his windows to dim the light that was coming in. So we went to his office and we were about to start the work. And yes, you're right. 770 Eastern Parkway is the address. And the Rebbe asked them, "Did you already put on film?" No, he never put on film. So he said the Rebbe put on film with us. Wow. That was the last time he put on film in
Wow.
1982.
Wow.
1982.
And he just found him this year.
Just yesterday. I don't know, today.
Wow.
He posted it today. Maybe it was a Friday.
Wow. I hope he got the guy's number and you're putting on film every single day now.
Hey, you go to dash.org. You'll go later. You'll see
Wow.
it. It's really,
Wow.
he put on the film with him and he asked him to tell the story again.
Just
And-
good.
Yeah,
The Rebbe put it.
yeah, the Rebbe put a
So
12.
I guess he never then he actually intrigued, like he understood who the Rebbe was that day, like for
So,
like or
Listen, it's a 30-second clip. You'll say he says I can't forget it. Till today, I remember. It's like he didn't know.
but he never connected to it afterwards.
He
That's the
didn't know-
question.
he-
Like
I
how
guess he didn't know exactly. Now the shliach is telling him, you know who that was. You know? He just
and that's what I'm
remembered.
saying. He didn't know who that
Remember, he
person.
came to 770 Eastern Parkway. He
And
came
did
to
a job
someone's
of
office,
the-
did a job, and the man asked him. He put on film. No, so the man put on
He
film with
didn't even
him.
know it was around.
I don't
He
think.
didn't know, it sounds like he didn't have
He
a
gave the
local
address
studio.
like a generic address. There was 770
yeah.
Oh, that didn't enough.
It's unbelievable.
Have a
That's
local
something.
shliach for the Rebbe
But
to
that's not the
have
point.
the
The
local
point is,
shliach help him after that.
oh, I'm saying it's like the point is that the person himself did not realize till even yesterday
Yeah,
that it's the Rebbe.
Yeah,
right.
exactly.
But he says it left an impression on him. He remembered it as
Yeah,
well.
that's true. Yeah.
Today he's probably 60 years old.
Yeah,
At
he
least
looks
he
like
was
maybe
young.
older. He looks like maybe in the 70s. So there's a few shluchim that posted lately a few cute things. There's a shliach in Moshe Givati, Avram Mizrahi, posted that there was a shopping center in his town, and he has a film stand. And lately, business is good. Business is good because there's a this in Israel, and people are putting out film. So he asks the guy, "Excuse me, sir, what's your name?" In Israel, you're not asking are you Jewish? Usually in Jewish, what's your name? Chris. Not a Jewish name, but he's American. So he says, what's your Jewish name? He says, my Jewish name is Shmuel, but my parents called me Chris, so, I don't have to go through the bizarreness of, people knowing that I'm a Jew. Okay? So he said, would you like to put on film? Yeah, he'd like to put on film. And from that day on, every day he's putting on film until one day he said, okay, I'm buying my own film. That was it. And the shlich was very touched by it, in Israel to have someone called Chris. It's not, it's not, yeah, it's a goyish name. So he told it and he told it by the Kiddush Shabbos last week, 2 weeks ago. He told it by the Kiddush. So someone stood up. He said, "You don't know the rest of the story. Let me tell you the rest of the
Oh,
story."
he was telling the story and saying he was.
And no, this guy says Chris works for me, and he says, this happened. He says recently we were saying that we have to fire some workers. The business is schwach ever since Simchas Torah, and we said we have to fire some workers. I was going to fire Chris, and I don't know why. I had a feeling that no, I have to keep this guy. I have to keep this guy. Now I know why I got this feeling that I have to keep this guy. It's probably the schus of his putting on film.
Talk about film, the whole fire that happened and kids lost a lot of film. But I heard the stories like how they got the film, the new film,
mitzvah kid.
the mitzvah kids
Yeah,
that
yeah.
didn't have film, that the Chabad Shliach came up and offered the parents to take whoever doesn't have money to take birth film for their kids.
Yeah, a few hundred got lost.
It's unbelievable.
These
Yeah.
are people not true.
Chaim l'chaim.
What is
I don't know. No, and upstate New York.
You never know. There's a
That
shliach,
happened upstate New York.
a shliach that posted shliach from Delhi, Kupchik. So
From India?
yeah, these guys are made from a different cloth. These Kupchiks. So he said he was doing a shchita, and he went to do, by the way, doing a shechita in India.
It's not an easy thing.
No, because
It's
they're
If you're killing that guy.
right. So he did a shechita, and then so in the city where he went, he knows there's a businessman who's wealthy and he's Jewish. He went to his business, and the guy had come several times to Chabad, and he comes into his office. He says, "Oh, Mickey, well, let's put on film." No, I'm not putting on film. He says, "Oh, why would you want to put on film when you come to Chabad? You put on film." He says, "No, I never put on film. What are you talking about, Rabbi? I don't put on. You'll put on film. I'll say amen." So he says, "Okay, fine." He says, when I was running out of my car, he said I was going to just take the Rashi film, but I ended up taking my whole film bag. So he said, "Oh, you know what? Let's both put on film. I'll put on film. You put on film. I have two peers here." I said, "Okay, fine. Let's do it, Rabbi." So the shliach put on the Rabbeinu top film, the Rabbeinu top film, and he gave Mickey the Rashi film, and they both put on film.
So I've been to Tam Head.
Exactly, Rabbeinu top to the rescue. Bottom line is, there is last night we watched Motzah Shabbos a lot of times, the video on the Gem video, whatever. It was a beautiful word. Rebbe said that an employer might say, it's not inappropriate. The guy, I'm an employer, and someone's working for me, so I have to mix into his private business, to Yiddishkeit. I should try to push on him. He should put on film that he should keep Shabbos. Like it's. The Rebbe said the opposite is true. You don't have the right not to. If you have an influence in someone came to do a job you're paying him for the job. He's your employee. You're paying him for the work. So why did the Eibush make that his parnasa is coming through you? His parnasa could come not through you. The Eibush made that his parnasa is coming through you, so you can influence him. Because if he's your employee from you, or he's doing a job for you and you're paying him, so you're not stam another person. You're influential to him because he's getting paid by you. So you forget you don't have the right not to try to influence such a person. So l'chaim, it's a special day. Huh?
That's not why you're fired.
I know it sounds cruel,
Yeah.
but the Rebbe had that opinion. Obviously, it depends how you do it. That's for shalom that you're doing it with a heavy hand. Usually, if it's an employee, they want to please. So, in a soft way, if you suggest they come to here Shabbos, this Shabbos, there was a family that came. There's someone that employs. He has a credible amount of employees that work for him, and there's a Jewish girl, and so he said, "Would you like to come to Shabbos?" She said, "Oh, sure." She was so excited. She was thrilled. She came with her father also. And they were here for Shabbos, and I don't know if they've ever in their life experienced
They ate
Shabbos.
by you, right?
No, they ate by him.
Oh, by him.
Yeah. So because she's an employee, and he invited her. It wasn't. It's not chas v'sholom. You're not getting a paycheck. Not getting a paycheck, but there's an influence that you have over a person when you're doing business with them.
Yeah.
So the Rebbe says you have to utilize that influence.
I have a bocher.
I'm a voice. The Rebbe had this
I
guy
have a
come.
bocher works for me. Yeah, I know that sometimes it glitches it. So I can't, I see already. I don't want to insist about it, so I don't say anything. But I walk into one of the Muslims. I said, can I ask him if he put on film today? I says, free, free of charge. I don't care. It's on my time. He says, okay, put on film. But if I ask him, it's gonna.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. You, like the Rav says, you have to do.
How to do it.
But it's unbelievable.
Yeah.
So Shkocha brought this last night. We hear that Rebbe saying this, and then today the story that this guy that Rebbe called someone to do a job on his window, and then
Working for the Rebbe.
yeah, it's funny that Rebbe asked him, "Are you Jewish?"
Yeah.
And yeah, I said I'm Jewish. Put on phone with him. L'chaim, l'chaim.
Well, it's a balance between influence and force. Don't force,
They
but
never want to force.
but
Over the
clearly the
document.
Rebbe looked at all of life as an opportunity
Right.
to kind of shake Shemayim, and we compartmentalize.
That's why.
L'chaim, l'chaim.
That's okay for it.
We should have that avas chinam which
Amen.
flows from Hamisha Osa Ba'ov. and David shall helfen.
And we should all have stories to tell.
Amen.
David shall helfen.
Amen.
Everyone that needs shidduchim, everyone that needs to make for their children
Amen.
shidduchim, everyone that needs shidduchim, they should make shidduchim, good shidduchim, take it from a yad mamash.
Amen.
Anyone?
You
Today,
think the
today.
Rebbe needed that job? He called the guy because he wanted to put on tefillin on him.
What?
Do you think that the Rebbe happens to be that he asked him if he was Jewish or not? He wanted to put on tefillin on him. That's why he needed the job done.
Okay,
I have a 20.
That's why he needed the job done.
okay.
I can't hear.
I'm saying that it didn't happen to be that the Rebbe asked him if he's Jewish. Most probably the Rebbe wanted to put on tefillin on him. That's why he needed a job at his office.
For sure.
So that's similar to the guys that were cutting the wood.
Truly one. Hey, Yachad, Yachad, Shifte Yisrael, Neshama ve'Orei Ovechutz Lois Yerushalayim, Kol Sas V'Kol Kol. Hey, da Yeshama ve'Orei Yehuda, Ovechutz Lois Yerushalayim. Asim Pakov Vachasam Veknokata Hey Na Yeshama Neyoda Vachot Sasim Shulaye Kavatzah Semikasim Pakal Chasam Veknokata Ay la la L'chaim L'chaim L'chaim.
You're saying the girls used to say Sheker Hashem, when they were going down with those.
Yeah.
Does that come from Ashes? And does Ashes Chaim?
No, that comes from Ashes Chaim.
Oh,
Okay.
Ashes Chaim was before that.
Yeah, for sure. So let's just finish off the Farbrengen. There's a beautiful mimer 100 years ago today that the Frierdiker Rebbe said. Today is Pei Daled. This was 100 years ago. Reish Pei Daled, Shin Pei Daled. Tough Shin Pei Daled. This was tough Reish Pei Daled. And what happened was that in 1953, it was in the winter. It was Adar. The Rebbe, like, all of a sudden came out with he used to publish his father-in-law's Maimonim. He published this Maimon based on a request that I received to publish this Maimon. I'm publishing this Maimon, and here are the footnotes that I wrote for the Maimon, whatever. Who'd ask the Rebbe to publish this Maimon? Who do you think the Rebbe? So at that time, there were three Maimonim that was like miraculous Maimonim. There was this Maimer, and then the Rebbe said a Maimer. That was a Maimer Purim that the Rebbe said.
We want to
Well, Tafshin Yud Gimel is a famous Maimer that the Rebbe said. What happened was that before the Maimer, the Rebbe said a story. The Rebbe said that when they deposed the Tsar in Russia, there were votes. It was very before the Bolsheviks took over. It was a very short window of time where they thought there was going to be a democratic government in Russia, because they killed the Tsar and they thought that they can organize problems. They didn't know how to eat democracy. So, but there were votes, there was a parliament, and it all fell apart. Then there was rebellions, and then there were different groups, and the Bolsheviks, and then they knew how to take things in their hands. The Rebbe Rashab told all the Chassidim to go vote. So, it's important that Jews vote. What can you say? It was then, and it is now. That the politicians, they know one thing. They know how many votes come from different neighborhoods. So it's very important to vote. Anyway, the Rebbe Rashab said the Chassidim should go vote. So there was a Chassid. Rebbe Rashab said, what's the difference what the Rebbe Rashab says to do? You should make a Farbrengen, or that you should learn a Maimer, or that you should daven barichus. The Rebbe said. So he went to the mikveh. So what the Rebbe said. Went to the mikveh, put on the big Shabbos, put on the gartel. He went to the voting booths. No. So one of the Chassidim walked into the booth and told him, "Listen, well, fine." He's very happy. He did what the Rebbe told him to do. There was someone campaigning there, and they were saying "Hooray, hooray!" And in Russian, they say "Hurrah, hurrah, hurrah!" They were screaming "Hurrah!" Because well, what it is. But he hears them screaming "Hurrah!" So he also joined the crowd, and he was saying "Hurrah!" He didn't know what that means. Hurrah! He's bad. He's the bad. Who's evil? He didn't know what hooray. What did he know what hooray? The word hooray means. He was from the shtetl. Didn't know what hooray meant. So he hears the goyim screaming "Hurrah!" So what's this screaming? He thought this was part of the voting. And this is part of how you're supposed to vote. So he started screaming "Hurrah! Hurrah!" And the Rebbe paused at the time, and everyone understood what the Rebbe meant. And everyone said he started screaming "Hurrah! Hurrah! Hurrah!" And then the Rebbe started saying a Maimer. It later turned out that was at that time there was the famous in Russia. What happened was there was the Stalin Yamach Shemoy wanted to get rid of the Jews. He had a whole plan. There was a whole bunch of Jewish doctors that were arrested as though they wanted to poison Stalin Yamach Shemoy. It was a mamash ace sort of for all the Eden in Russia at that time.
Okay. It was an in-house job that they poisoned them, and they blamed the Jews on it.
No. This before. This was before he was taka killed.
Right.
One of the accounts of how he was killed, I've read many accounts over the years, but there's a big fat book I read once about, and the dafka this chapter, that the reason he died was he lived, and they poisoned him, but he lived for a little while. He could have been saved. But you can't call a Jewish doctor. Jewish doctors were all in jail. He killed himself. Had any one of these doctors that he put in jail had been on hands, would have saved his life in a minute. But because there was no doctors around, they were all in jail, so he got what he deserved, and he died. I mean, the doctors didn't kill him. His own bodyguard or whoever, out there, they don't know exactly who poisoned him, but someone poisoned him. So someone poisoned him. He was sitting on his divan, on his couch, and his gegangen Poshut. He died slow death and a painful death because there was no doctor that could take care of him. Anyway, but he deserved it. What happened was he had a plan that there's going to be shchitas. They're going to get rid of all the Jews. They supposedly the Jews are all going to be there's going to be spontaneous riots against the Jews, and he's going to protect the Jews. They're all going to be put onto trains, and they'll be taken to a country called Azerbaijan. And over there's going to be a part of the country that's going to be the Jewish country. They speak only Yiddish, no, not Zionism. He was anti-Zionist.
I think
Classic
it's
Schultz.
still
Today, no, Yiddish. Yeah, till today they
I
have.
feel something.
Yeah, there's some.
There's still the
Some
city
video
still
about it.
When
calls
you
the
see
Jews.
the city today, you realize the tragedy is a city that's 25 blocks by 25 blocks. At that time, there were 3 million Jews in Russia. So how exactly were 3 million Jews supposed to live in 25 blocks by 25 blocks? What exactly was the plan?
Ghetto.
So the plan was that Rahman al-Islam, that they will all be killed on the way. And that's how many Jews will end up, and then supposedly they'll have their own country that'll be the rival to Israel, because they're not going to talk. They're not going to be Tzionim. No way, Chas v'sholom. They're not going to be. They're going to talk Yiddish. The Meir Shalom Yiddish. No, they're not. I'm joking. They're not going to talk Meir Shalom Yiddish. They talk that communist Yiddish where with like emes. Emes is ayin mem samach aleph tov. Whatever. So that this was a sakona gedola. This could have been a second Holocaust. It was all the plan was almost set into motion, and the pretext for these riots that were going to break out was that he orchestrated the whole thing. The doctors tried to kill him, and then the Russian public are going to spontaneously rise up against the Jews, but he's going to be benevolent and he's going to put them on the trains. He'll know what to do on the way, and he'll know how many people to bring out in each station to kill how much. And that he was going to get rid of all the Eden that were in his country, 3 million Jews.
Were any Jews sent there in the end?
No, he was killed. He was killed. It never happened. But Ada Yom, you can go to Azerbaijan,
They have even
and they have a post office
a
over there,
newspaper in Yiddish.
and everything is Yiddish. The country is Yiddish. All the street signs are in Yiddish.
But never got used.
I saw it on YouTube.
Yeah.
According to the Russian government, that is belong to the Jews.
Yeah, that's a Jewish country.
That's a Jewish country.
Not Palestine.
Exactly.
Still today.
Till today. Yeah. It's
It's around today. I mean,
But it's so
nothing.
far
Joke
deep
today.
somewhere.
Goyim lived there.
Goyim live there, but it's a city called it's a Jewish
Very
side. It's
far,
called
the other side of
Yeah.
Yeah, it only belongs to the Jews.
So what
This is
happened?
the Jewish country. This is going to be the.
What happened when they were yelling?
So when it turned out that when they were yelling "Hoorah" in 770,
That's when
he was assassinated, and no one knew immediately that he was assassinated. They kept it as a secret, but then it came out that was in the time of the Farbrengen when they were screaming "Hoorah." That's when he was assassinated. That's when he was killed, and they understood then why the Rebbe wanted that the Rebbe told the story. The Rebbe wanted that the Chassidim should scream "Hoorah!" He is evil. So
Try that with simple
that-
now, and everyone should say hoorah, hoorah.
So what happened was that years later,
it works.
of Shimon Aleph, 91, they printed this Maimon from Purim. And someone tried to push it through the Rebbe's desk. They wrote a forward on the Maimon, and they said that this Maimon, the Lubavitcher Rebbe said, in connection with special events, with the killing of the Tzorah HaYehudim, Stalin Yimach Shemoy. And the Rebbe let it go. The Rebbe, so
The 91, what happened with 91?
they published the Maimon,
published
but
the
the Rebbe allowed that they should write it in the forward of the Maimon. That this Maimon was said in connection of the of killing of Stalin Yimach
It
Shemoy.
was nice that you said, hoorah, who met? Hoorah, who met?
But this minor was
So-
said after that story.
Right, so after that, they never published another 2 Maimorim. The point of all 6 Maimorim is about the specialty of the Jewish people and how the Jewish people shine out over the Goyim. Obviously, on the Jewish people.
Somebody told me about the Rebbe's shoes in connection to this, and I still can find the sources that the Rebbe Rashab told his son that's the Rebbe Hayat, that it says when this is going to be the end of this Golus. There's someone with the when the holes in his shoes is gonna something like that. I don't know. Someone told me that when Groner, someone tried to change the Rebbetzin tried a few times to change the Rebbe's shoes with the holes, and the Groner caught it up. This is don't touch it. I don't know if it's true, but that's what I'm saying.
Hidrich Manolim, it says Mashiach will come. Hidrich Manolim.
No, I'm talking about that. After that, I don't know if he changed it already. he said that he will never let the shoes go. Those a poor man from, but I don't know. You gotta find the source. Somebody told me something about it, so I'm trying to find it. I'm trying to find it.
It's a special time now. We have a lot of Tzorah Yehudim. We have a lot of Hudas out there. We have a lot of Hudas over here. Evishal Halson, that we should get rid of. That we should get rid of all the Hudas. L'chaim, 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 l'chaim. Should get rid of all the Hudas. L'chaim, l'chaim.
And then we'll take a
L'chaim,
rest.
l'chaim. Ufaratso, Yama, Vakema, Tzapina, Pnega. Ufaratso, Yama, Vakema, Tzapina, Pnega. Ufaratso, Yama, Vakema, Ufaratso, Tzapina, Pnega. Ufaratso, Yama, Vakema, Ufaratso, Tzapina, Pnega. That this is supposed to be Lo Yom Tovim. Chamisha Asbov came like Purim. The Zohar puts it with one of the 6 Yom Tovim, and the Mishnah says it's such a spectacular Yom Tov. It's like Yom Kippur. So just like Yom Kippur, everything gets cleaned up. For sure, on Chamisha Asbov, things get cleaned up. So if there's any blockages by any Yid, that they should all these blockages that get cleaned up. And every Yid should have Parnosa, Bar Chovel, Bar Shidus, and good Gesund.
Amen.
Und sie machen gute Shidduchim.
Amen.
L'chaim, l'chaim, l'chaim.
Chaim l'Bracha.
Okay, we got a minute?